Good afternoon, guys. This is Mike at WISP America 2017 in Memphis, and this is Wednesday afternoon, and we've got Forest from Packetflux. Forest is he's been around for a very long time. I remember he was at some of the WISPCon shows that I went to a very, very long time ago.
Making me feel older than I am in this industry.
Oh,
so.
If I was there, I mean,
That's true, yeah.
And so what is? Well, a lot of people I talk to, they're buying, their, PoE devices or whatnot from other people. They're trying to figure out some sort of solution. And I say, if you look at Packetflux, and they say, who is Packetflux? So Forrest, can you tell us who Packetflux is?
Well, Packetflux is a company that it grew out of needs when I was doing an ISP on a regular basis, doing the day-to-day operations. That as we grew, we found we needed things like Cambium Sync that wasn't the cost that Motorola was charging at that point. When you have a tower site with 3 or 4 subs or 10 subs and you need to synchronize it, and Cambium wants to charge a large amount of money, it gets really hard to to afford that. It makes it difficult to make the numbers work. And looking at a lot of those products, I just decided I could make them for lower cost, still as reliable a product, but be able to release that. So probably, I think it was about 19 or it's been a long time ago, 10, 15 years ago, long time ago, I released the first product, which is Cambium synchronization product, that basically is an alternative to the Cambium stuff, or Motorola stuff at that point. Too many product names.
Yeah.
And then from that, then additional needs were needed. I needed to monitor voltages at the sites and make sure my power was there and make sure my heater hadn't failed. Live in Montana, that's a big problem. Other parts of the world is heat, ours was cold, and you discover that heater that would fail. So those are the goals, and then of course on the power interjection. And so today what we provide is a complete line of products, is sort of what you want to put in the box.
Sure.
When you're building this out, you want to monitor the box. You need to put power injection. You need to send power at the tower. If you're running Cambium, you need to run Cambium Sync, all at a reasonable price, knowing how cost sensitive most wireless ISPs are.
Sure. So. One thing that you haven't really hit on yet is the flexibility and expandability of your product line.
When I was part of when I was doing the design for it, part of the concerns I had was, how do you build something that's starts out as inexpensive? So if you have a small site and you only need a battery voltage, how do you be inexpensive there, but yet how do you let that system grow and be more and more? So you can start out with something that just monitors battery at the site. If you need controlled PoE, you can add a controlled PoE injector, or you can add additional synchronization modules, and it all sort of adds together so you can pay for what you need instead of this big huge brick of way too many features at way too high of a price. So
I'll show you. Yeah, you've got relay modules, and I mean I don't even I don't even know what they all are.
Yeah, there's relay modules, there's switch modules. Turn things on and off. We have things that connect to specifically to specific charge controllers, like Morningstar charge controllers. We pull a lot of data out. We don't sell a lot of these very much anymore, but we have ones that will pull out of old APC UPSs and pull all the data out of that. And we're expanding that. We're moving into more into the solar side as well, as we understand not only for this industry, but globally there's a lot of that need, pulling that data out. And some of the stuff we're moving into now is to be able to program and control that stuff that's coming down the pike.
Sure.
Once we get all that data in a centralized system, actually at the site, be able to control some of that as well through programmability. So.
Okay. Yeah. Over the years, it's always been, these little, just a whole bunch of little boxes and looking at one, but it's like a little bit bigger, like a cassette tape.
Like this size.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have one say on the booth right here.
And so you have a whole bunch of them. But there were some requests. Well, and then I don't know of probably any manufacturer that handles user feedback, user requests like Forest does, because he'll just go tinker with some resistors, whatever the hell it is that he does, and make something new.
Yeah. I try to listen to my customers. As
that's good for the business.
And I'm still involved with the wireless ISP to some extent. Packetflux has gained most of my time, but at some point, you've met all your own needs. You know what you do and the way you do it, but then you need to listen to what other people need, and so you need to feed that back in. And so I've tried over the years to listen to my customers and sometimes carry on a conversation. I think sometimes when I talk to them, they think that I'm arguing with them about, oh, you don't need that, but I'm really trying, when I have those conversations, to understand their use cases and why they wouldn't choose a different product or something I know that already exists in the marketplace, so I can bring in and produce a product that the customers really want and it really will work for them well. So
sure, make something that's going to do what they want and more.
Yeah, exactly.
And
hopefully some stuff they didn't even think. Yeah, they think they didn't know they wanted, or maybe someone else that talked to me mentioned, and you combine the two, and now you got something really, magical. So
sure, yeah, and on the topic of combining things, he now has a rack-mounted version of it's mostly DIN rail mounts or wall mounts, but
traditionally we were hitting a lot of the small enclosures, and in fact, if you got a small enclosure, that you need to inject for 3 or 4 radios at a micropop, we have that covered, especially your DC powered. One thing that we continue to hear from my customers is, I need this stuff in a rack mount. And having tried to mount my own gear in a rack enclosure, I understand why it's a pain, and it's just not completely the right solution. It worked well, but when you get in that rack, you really want rack mount equipment, and I heard that from my customers. Unfortunately, it wasn't as easy as I thought it was going to be. You'd think you'd just go out and buy an enclosure, but it gets to be a problem.
We're buying canned products and putting them up.
I'm buying pieces of metal and putting electronics in it.
You're building it from scratch.
So what we have now is release of this show, shipping in the next couple of weeks. Just waiting for a couple of parts from a couple of suppliers. New Packetflux rack injector. It builds on our old technology. So if you looked at the circuitry inside here, as far as the power injection, it's very similar to what we've been doing for years, and people know it's reliable. I didn't feel like I wanted to reinvent the wheel. I don't want to break something that isn't broken. And so we have basically injection, up to 16 ports of injection using traditional Packetflux injection hardware that works really well. And what we've done is we've added our next generation of control on the front of it. So in this, you get the newer version of the control module that has a very nice, modern, responsive web interface. So it works on the cell phone, it works on your web browser. There's some additional features that are coming, like there'll be logging and graphing and things along those lines on the device. Emails based on notification, that's also coming. That's all that newer control module enables a lot of that. Shipping initially, similar features to what we have today, but that's all coming in the next month, and getting a really good response to it at the show. People really like it. They're really excited. Even seen a few orders come through, through the e-commerce system.
Yeah, it's I know on AFMUG, seeing Nate's and George's requests, and seeing when that was finally, there's a picture of it. There was applause.
I kind of when you got really close, you start having all the final pretty creative. I've been working on this for a long time, so there's stuff that I've been working on and showing you a circuit wiring diagram or whatever that I've been working on. But when you start doing things like, here's what the case looks like, here's a picture of a case, here's my front panel, here's what the GUI is forming up as. Yeah, that kind of generated, people were really excited, and it's carried through onto the show as well. So,
well,
of course, then they always say, what, you want these other 3 features? And you're like,
Yet your job will never be done. But
yeah,
I suppose that's probably a good thing.
That's a good thing. This industry marches on. This industry changes. We were mentioning how long I had been a WISP or been dealing with it. This all came out of an internet provider I helped start in 1994. We hung our first wireless customer in 96, 97, somewhere in that neighborhood. I don't know how many iterations of equipment and gear and trying to do things that now I sell products for. I don't know how many iterations of Cambium products I've had to make modifications to synchronize. It's just keep going down the thing. It's all changing. Tomorrow there'll be another requirement, or maybe even today somebody will come up and talk to me about, and I like to hear that and feed it back into my products. So.
One thing I typically ask for in a product doesn't really apply to this so much. Well, maybe.
Oh, you want an SFP? Is that you?
Maybe. I am that guy.
Me and you need to have a discussion about SFPs after the show, because I have something I'm working on.
I'm definitely that guy. SFPs on everything.
We may be able to fix that problem. I got some ideas of how you might be able to fix that problem for those vendors that you're having issues convincing that that's a good thing. So
stop buying their products.
Well, no, I want you to buy lots of their products and then
buy yours.
Buy mine that fixes that problem. I don't know whether that's coming out or not, but that's a good example. I have people say, "Come, help me solve the fact that I want fiber up the tower." I don't have anything today, but I'm here at the booth listening to all those people and all those ideas, and it may make it into a product, it may not. I'm not one to release a product just because I have 2 or 3 people ask for it. I'm releases products that I feel I can get behind and feel like I can build a product that people really want. And sometimes those ideas are just ideas, and I can never make that happen. And other times they come into fruition, and we start shipping a product, and people really like them, and I like being here, and everyone walks by and says, "Hey, good product, is still working. Have one that I've been in place for 10 years, and I haven't felt like tearing it out." And
it makes you feel good, but you're like, well, then you should buy another one.
Well, I was going to say that, but I was trying to be a little reserved about 10 years. Yeah, replace it, please. I
have no problem. I have no problem saying it, but no, it's like there's the new GUI, the new features. That's not going to work on a 10-year-old product.
Yeah, I assume I had somebody call. I have to check with my compatriot back here. How it was original site monitor. It's original sync pipe. They had an original sync pipe, an original injector. They were trying to make work again. And it was like, you know what? Just go buy. It's $100. Go buy a new one. But it's amazing how many times I'll get a call of somebody that's using, still in production, something I shipped 10 years ago. And sometimes it's a challenge because I haven't touched it for 10 years and don't remember the details.
Sure, yeah, but that speaks to the quality of the product.
Yeah, exactly. So,
well, I think that probably wraps up anything I think to ask you about.
Okay.
And
cool.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thanks.